Hey everyone, welcome back to the homestead. I am Nadine. Today I want to talk to you about my quail eggs and my incubator and kind of how things are going. So it's been about a week since I put my eggs in the incubator, and the incubator that I was using at the time was the Januel 12. Is this one here. So everything went really well when I set this up. It was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. But when I turned it on and let it run for a day or two, I realized there were some things about it that I just did not like. And I ended up changing incubators. So one of the things that I did not like about this particular unit was that I had to keep opening the lid to add water and to hand turn a couple eggs that didn't fit in the turner. Now, every time you open an incubator, it lets the heat out, it lets the humidity out, and it has to work twice as hard to get that back up. You don't want to open your incubator once you put your eggs in there because you don't want that temperature fluctuating. So that was a big yuck to me. The second thing was that the temperature settings were in Celsius. Now, I'm in the States, so Celsius, I don't know anything about Celsius. I have to go through a conversion and figure out what my Fahrenheit to Celsius is, and it was just a bit of a pain in the butt. So I didn't like that as far as the settings go, and I had to order a separate thermometer and humidifier gauge because this also didn't have a humidifier gauge on it, just had a temperature gauge. And the two temperature and humidity probes that I got were all reading something different when I put them in here. So that was really frustrating as well because I wasn't getting an accurate read as far as what was going on in my incubator, which is really important when you're incubating eggs. The temperature and the humidity has to be a very specific thing. So having all of these weird settings and fluctuations and having to open the lid all the time was just making things really frustrating for me after a day. I did hear, that this worked really well for some people, and that's great. But for me, I have 3 kids. I run a homestead. I cook, I clean, I shop, I do bills, I homeschool. Like, my day's busy. I can't sit here and monitor an incubator all day long. So for those of you who have had great success with this, fantastic. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I did not, so I went with something different. So after some research and asking questions and looking around, I ended up going with the Nurture Right 360. It was actually a review by My Shire Farm. I also went with their recommended GoV thermometer and what is it called? A thermohydrometer, where it monitors the temperature and the humidity. So I went with one of those and this incubator here. So let me show you the incubator and what I like about it so far. Okay, so here is the Nurture Right 360. One of the very first things that I liked about it in comparison to the other was that it has a temperature gauge in Fahrenheit as well as a humidity gauge. Fantastic. So I understand exactly what the temperature is reading. I understand exactly what the humidity is reading, and it was easy to set. The second thing that I really liked about it was that it is clear. I can see all the way around from one side to the other, whereas this one I could not. So even to check on the eggs to make sure that they were turning properly, to make sure that they weren't cracked or getting crushed, I had to open this thing, and that was just a pain in the butt. So I like being able to see what is going on in here. The other thing that I really liked, here is the GoV. I just set it in an empty egg rack, was that I don't have to open this at all. This is where I put the water for the humidity level. Once I get to lockdown, I will use the second side as well. There is a humidity gauge here. So if I close it, the humidity level goes up. If I open it all the way, it goes down, but halfway is keeping it at about the 40-45% mark, which is perfect So I don't have to use sponges. I don't have to open and close the humidifier. It kind of does that for me. And then with the Govee, with this thing, there's no wires, there's no probes. You just put the whole thing inside the incubator and it does a fantastic job. There's also a Bluetooth setting on it, so you can set it to your phone. So you don't have to come to your incubator to check on it. You could just check your phone. I didn't do that because I'm home all day, so it didn't seem to matter too much to me. But I really like how small it is. I like that it fits inside the incubator without wires holding the lid open. And then let's see. Oh, and all of the eggs can be turned. So this fits, I think, 22 chicken eggs and twice that in quail eggs. They do have accessories. So this white thing that the eggs are sitting in, that's the egg turner. They have different accessories for like quail eggs and whatnot. So I might be ordering one of those in the future. But so far, this is working really well with 2 eggs per hole. And everybody's turning really nicely. So I don't have to go in and hand turn eggs, which is fantastic. So overall, this new incubator is just making this whole process a lot easier for me personally. Like I said, I don't have anything against the old incubator. There were just some things about it that were making it a little bit more difficult for a beginner like myself. And there were just certain aspects about it that I just did not like. And so I'm really glad that I went with a new incubator. It's not something that I wanted to do this year, but honestly, for peace of mind and ease of use, this has been a fantastic investment thus far. With that being said, I did candle my eggs, I think a day ago. I think now we're at 8. No. I think we're at day 9 of incubation at this point. And I did candle them, and a lot of them were viable. I think there were 2 that just didn't have any development whatsoever. So that's really good percentage. But here's the problem. We had a power outage yesterday for, I think, about 2 hours, and the temperature dropped in there significantly because I wasn't home. And I wasn't able to get a heat source on it to help stabilize the temperature. So I'm hoping and praying and crossing my fingers that I didn't lose all of my eggs. So lockdown is in a couple days and I get to candle them again. So I'm really, really hoping that I see some signs of life in there and that we have a good hatch, at least out of a portion of these, because like I said, we lost power, temperature dropped significantly, and I know temperature is a big, big thing when you're incubating eggs. So I'm hoping that we still have a decent hatch out of these, that the temperature drop and the power being off didn't terminate my eggs, and that we have lots of quail babies in the coming days. So I think that about covers up my update on the quail eggs and the whole incubator shenanigans. I will leave a link for the new incubator in the description below, because in the last description of the last video I mentioned that I wasn't a huge fan of this incubator and that I was going to be doing a video. This is that video. So I will leave a link for the new Nurture Right 360 incubator, because I think it is a much better incubator for a beginner. There's a lot less troubleshooting involved, and so far it's been a lot more consistent with temperature, humidity, and all of that jazz. I will also link the Govee thermometer and hydrometer that I got as well, so that you guys can access these tools. So alrighty guys, if you have any questions about the old incubator, the new incubator, any of that, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. I just wanted to jump on here real quick, give you guys an update on the eggs so far, what's been going on, and about the whole incubator shenanigans. But yeah, so that wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to grow where you're planted.